Pleasure to have you on the program, Minister Bennett. Thank you. It gives me an opportunity to commend you for that courageous decision to tell your story publicly. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you very much.
It was going on for months. How are you feeling the day after you decided to tell others about it?
I'm certainly feeling very empowered from the messages that I've received in the last 24 hours. It's been a very difficult personal journey for me for the last couple of months, and I want to be clear that what I've experienced is in no way anywhere in the same category as women across the country who have to deal with violence in their lives on a regular basis. But what does, I think my experience show is that the language that we allow to be used on social media is the beginning steps of behavior that shouldn't be condoned.
You've raised a number of things there that I want to explore in a little more detail. Number one is the reaction that you've had since going public yesterday. What have you heard from people generally, but I was also thinking from your colleagues, perhaps from other female politicians?
Well, I actually received a number of messages from male counterparts across the country yesterday evening from some of the provincial finance ministers that I work with. I've received support from my female colleagues, certainly from my caucus. I've had messages from other members of the House of Assembly that aren't in the same party as I am, because I think there's a recognition that this is a nonpartisan issue, and certainly that outpouring of support, in addition to the support I've received locally, has been, as I said earlier, very empowering.
We heard not too long ago the story of another female politician in another province, Sandra Jensen, as she talked about also threats, cyber attacks. Very, very hurtful and harmful to her as well. And you've heard from your female politician colleagues. I'm just wondering, unfortunately, this is not a unique story for women who choose this path. Do you think there's a danger that this might be something, or what impact do you think it might have on women either in politics or thinking about getting into politics?
Well, I think my experience in the last year, I also have the portfolio, in addition to finance, as the minister responsible for the status of women in Newfoundland. And through that ministerial responsibility, I've been able to learn and watch and see things that I hadn't seen before. I've been very cognizant of female politicians throughout the world who've spoken out in the last year, and recognize that it's a significant barrier for women to consider politics. But what I can say is that, based on my experience, I think women are very resilient. I know I am, and I'm not going to allow any online cyber abuse that, in often cases for women, takes on a sexual nature. I'm not going to let that abuse get in the way of my passion for doing what's right for the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. It's totally fine to disagree with my policies, to disagree with our government, and to challenge me on that, to challenge us on that, to have a discourse with us. But it's not okay to use language on social media or in any other form that is demeaning, degrading, and offensive. Mm-hmm. And what my hope is that I'll be one voice, along with voices of many, that will say that that's not what we are going to tolerate when women put themselves forward to offer themselves for elected office.
It's so good to hear you say that in such a confident manner, so resolved. And yet, to have been on the receiving end of those attacks and threats for the months that you were, what was the impact on you personally and on your family?
Well, the impact on my family is theirs to share, and I'm going to keep that private. I'm the one that entered political life, and I'm the one that chose to put myself in the...
Unfortunately, we have just lost the line with Minister Bennett. I think we just had someone switch our lines of communication, unfortunately. Well, we don't want to leave our conversation with Finance Minister Cathy Bennett in the way we did. So Minister Bennett has kindly stayed with us. Apologize for that technical malfunction, Minister Bennett, and good to have you with us. I wanted to ask a couple more questions. We were talking about the toll this has taken on your family, and you don't want to talk about your family, and that's just fair. But living this as you were carrying out the business of the province as Finance Minister, but on the receiving end of these hateful words, what was the personal toll?
Well, I certainly expected when I offered myself for public office that people would disagree with me, and we would have policy disagreements, and there would be decisions and actions that I would take as a politician that people wouldn't agree with. What I didn't expect was the visceral and sexually exploitative messages that I got privately and some publicly. And it was a really difficult few months. It was very challenging for me personally. I questioned whether or not I wanted to stay in politics. I thought about quitting many times. And I guess the reason I decided to come out and talk about it is I am steeled in my decision that I'm not going to allow bullying and cyber abuse to push me out of my passion, as I said earlier, for serving the people of the province. Our province is in a very difficult situation. We need leaders to stand up. We need female politicians to stand up. And I'm going to continue to do that.
Good to hear that. I'm wondering, the decision yesterday to reveal this to all of us, you made an interesting choice to just speak to female journalists. That was a bit of your safe place. Why did you do that?
It was a personal press conference that I had yesterday. It was very much about my own choice to reveal, not only the public messages that people have seen, but I also shared with reporters that were in the room yesterday some of the private messages. And when I thought about how I wanted to do it, I was very uncomfortable for the first time showing people some of those messages with pictures and graphics that I hadn't even shown my husband. And as you said, and as many women need, I chose a safe place that was a place that I felt comfortable in sharing that. And after going through that first conversation, I'm happy to speak to men about this, and will be speaking to male reporters shortly. But for me, it was a very personal choice, and one that served me well yesterday, I think.
I'm sure you will be speaking to many more about this, and I have to let you go, but I do want to ask one thing, because you made, as you showed and played those private messages for the journalists, you said you didn't want to wish to say anything that might identify the people who have made those threats, the perpetrators in this case. It made me wonder whether there are investigations underway, whether there are potentially criminal proceedings underway because of the threats against you.
Well, certainly, issues around my own personal safety, the safety of my family, are very private, and we would always be taking the advice of experts, and for that reason, I wouldn't want to reveal or discuss any of those specifics in the media, and I chose not to yesterday. And Heather, with respect, I'll make that choice again today.
Minister Bennett, thank you for staying with us. Wonderful to speak to you on this, and I'm sure many will want to hear your story in more detail now that you have taken that big step and have us talking about something very important. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Heather.